Have you ever said yes with your mouth while everything inside you was quietly screaming no? Maybe you're the person everyone comes to, the reliable one, the easy one, the friend who always has time, the one who somehow ends up carrying a little of everyone else's weight. From the outside, it looks like kindness, maybe even strength. But lately, you've been tired. Not the kind of tired a good night's sleep can fix. A deeper kind. The kind that sits somewhere behind your eyes and makes even simple things feel strangely heavy. You might tell yourself you're just busy, just stressed, a little burnt out, and maybe that's part of it. But there's something quieter worth looking at. Because constantly putting other people first doesn't just drain your energy. Slowly, it disconnects you from yourself, from your needs, your limits, even your own feelings. And it happens so gradually, you never notice it slipping away. So, here are 6 gentle signs you might be emotionally drained from people pleasing. Sign number 4 tends to surprise people the most. Let's start. Pay attention to how often the word sorry leaves your mouth. Someone bumps into you, and you're the one who apologizes. You ask a perfectly reasonable question, and you open it with, "Sorry to bother you." An apology on its own is a beautiful thing. But when sorry becomes a reflex, when you're apologizing for existing, for having needs, for simply taking up room, it points to something underneath. A quiet belief that your presence is an inconvenience. That to be safe, to be loved, you have to make yourself as small as possible. And that belief is exhausting. Because constantly checking whether you might be too much means part of you can never fully relax. So the next time you catch yourself apologizing, pause for a second and ask, did I actually do something wrong here? Or am I just apologizing for being human? You don't have to be sorry for having a voice. You're allowed to take up space too. Think about the last time you wanted to say no. Not a dramatic line in the sand, no. Just a small one. No, that doesn't work for me. For some people, that word comes out easily. But if you're drained from people pleasing, saying it can feel like a threat. Your heart speeds up. Your stomach tightens. A quiet panic whispers, they're going to be upset with you. So instead, you say yes. And for 1 second, you feel relief. But underneath that relief is something heavier. Another commitment you didn't want. Another small piece of yourself quietly given away. This isn't weakness. Somewhere along the way, you may have learned that other people's disappointment was dangerous. That conflict meant losing love or losing your place in someone's life. So your body started treating a simple no as a risk to your survival. But a no to someone else is almost always a quiet yes to yourself, to your time, your energy, your peace. And the people who truly care about you won't disappear the moment you have a limit. Real connection can survive your honesty. In fact, it's the only kind that ever really lasts. Here's a question that sounds simple, but might be surprisingly hard to answer. What do you actually want? Not what's convenient for everyone else. Not the safe, agreeable answer. What do you want? For dinner? For your weekend? For your life? If you've spent years tuning into everyone else's needs, your own start to fade into background noise. You become so fluent in reading the room that you forget to check in with yourself. And one day, you realize you're not even sure what your favorite things are anymore. You only know what won't upset anyone. It's not that your preferences disappeared. They got buried. Every time you swallowed a no, or went along with something just to avoid friction, you taught yourself a little more not to listen. But this compass isn't broken. It's just out of practice. And you can find it again with small, almost invisible questions. Do I actually want this? Or do I just not want to disappoint anyone? If no one would ever know, what would I choose? You don't have to relearn yourself all at once. You just have to start listening again. If these words are starting to land a little too close to home, take a breath. There's no rush here. This channel is a small, quiet space to understand yourself a little more gently. No pressure, no performance, no one to please. If that's the kind of place you've been needing, you're welcome to stay a while. And whatever you're carrying right now, you don't have to carry it alone here. Now, let's continue. This one catches people off guard. You start to feel angry, quietly, confusingly angry, at the very people you love most. A friend asks for a small favor, and instead of warmth, you feel a flash of irritation. And then comes the guilt, because they didn't do anything wrong. They just asked. But here's the part that's so important to understand. That resentment isn't really about them. It's about all the times you said yes when you wanted to say no. When you never set a limit, the other person has no way of knowing they've reached one. They're not crossing a line because you never showed them where the line was. So the anger has nowhere to go. It just sits there, simmering. Resentment, here, is your unmet needs speaking up in the only language they have left. So if you notice that quiet anger rising, try not to shame yourself for it. Get curious instead. Ask, what need of mine have I been ignoring? Where have I said yes when I meant no? Ask yourself a quiet question. If you stopped being useful to the people around you, if you had nothing to offer, nothing to fix, nothing to give, would you still feel worthy of their love? For a lot of people pleasers, that question is genuinely frightening because somewhere deep down, a belief took root. I am valuable because of what I do for others. If I'm not helping, I'm nothing. So you keep giving, not always out of generosity, sometimes out of fear. And when your worth is built entirely on being useful, rest starts to feel dangerous. Doing nothing feels like proof that you're worthless. So you never truly switch off. But notice the logic underneath it. It means you only ever experience conditional love. Love you have to keep earning. Love that always feels one mistake, one no, one bad day away from being taken away. That's not safety. That's a full-time job you never agreed to. Here's the truth. Your fear has been hiding from you. You were never loved only for what you do. The people who matter simply like that, you exist. Your worth was there before you ever lifted a finger for anyone. Quietly, completely, already yours. This might be the most quietly painful of all. The people who are supposed to refill you leave you empty instead. Time with close friends, with family, even with the people you love most. It doesn't feel restful anymore. You enjoy them, you really do. But afterward, you're drained. And you can't quite understand why being around the people who care about you feels so much like work. Here's what's happening underneath. When you're a people pleaser, you're rarely just present in a relationship. You're working, constantly scanning their mood, managing their comfort, watching yourself for anything that might disappoint them. You're not relaxing. You're performing a version of yourself you think will be easiest to love. And performance is exhausting. Even joy becomes labor. When part of you is always backstage, making sure the show goes well. But real safety isn't something you perform your way into. It's something you slowly let yourself receive. It begins the moment you let one true thing show. A real opinion, a small no, an honest, "I'm tired today." And you discover that the people who truly love you never wanted the performance, they just wanted you. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, the endless apologies, the impossible no, the quiet resentment, the exhaustion, please hear this gently. You are not broken and you are not selfish. You simply learned somewhere along the way that the safest thing to do was to disappear a little for everyone else. That made sense once. But you don't have to keep living that way. Caring for yourself was never selfishness. You cannot pour endlessly from a cup you never let anyone fill, including you. Setting a boundary isn't slamming a door on the people you love. It's finally opening one for yourself. Every small no you dare to say to someone else is a quiet, trembling yes to your own life. Yes to your rest. Yes to your needs. Yes to the person you've kept waiting in the background for far, far too long. So start small. Say one honest no this week. Let yourself rest without guilt. Disappoint someone, just a little, and watch the world stay standing. You spent so long being everyone's safe place. Maybe it's time you became your own. If this reached something in you, let us know in the comments. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.